Hello guys and welcome. So in today's tutorial we will be learning Ruby. We will be learning just the basics of Ruby and nothing special. Okay, so first thing you have to install Ruby. And so how do you do that is you download Ruby from their installer website for Windows, if you're using Windows like me. And in the ending of the installer process, we're gonna have to do just like check the checkbox that says RIDK install to install the MSYS2. Now you don't have to know what that means, just press yes on that, so make sure that the checkbox is checked, and then a pop-up will be opened in a CMD that's gonna be like Ruby installer 2 is gonna be called like that, and it will offer you base installation, system update, and MSYS2 and MINGW development toolchain. So it is recommended to go 1, 2, and then 3 in that order to install absolutely everything you need, all of the tools. Once you install everything, you can just switch from the regular terminal for using Ruby, running Ruby programs, and you can edit the code in the text editor, just a regular text editor, right? So we don't need this anymore. So this is an example of a Ruby file. You can just make it by right-clicking, new, and then just making a text document and it can be called like anything. .rb, which is a Ruby file now, and you're gonna get this icon, maybe some new icon. I don't know what version you're using, and that's it. So how do you edit them? Well, I'm going to use Sublime. You can use any text editor. You can use Notepad, Notepad++, whatever you want. And I'm going to drop in all of them. So let's get started. So where's the number? Why did it not align? All right, never mind Sublime. I'm going to do it myself. All right. So let's get started. So first thing is a printing hello world, and the difference between print and puts. So they both basically just print out text that you ask them to, and they can like take variables as well and print them. But what's the difference? Well, let me show you. So right here you can see that it says hello world. It's a nice way to start. And then it says puts Jeremy Clarkson is getting old. So let me show you how that works. Shift and right click, open command line here, and this is your example of command line. And you're going to do 1.rb because that's the name of the program. And you can just press enter, and it's going to say hello world is a nice way to start. So you notice that it's connected here. So this got connected with this. That's how print works. So they don't have a new line here or a space. They just kind of connect two things. This is why people mostly use puts. So how does puts work? Well, here, let me show you. So we have Jeremy Clarkson here is getting old. So we're gonna get, since this is print, it's gonna end here, and we're not gonna get a new line before, but we're gonna get a new line after. That's how puts works. So Jeremy Clarkson new line is getting old, new line. And there is no new lines here. I didn't write it like in Python like this for a new line. There is no new lines here, but puts just does it that way. You know, you don't have to put new lines. So that's pretty cool. Let me just show you an example of an input. So for input, like unlike for example Python, you're not gonna do I don't know, user input and then make sure it's a string and then stuff like that. You're just gonna do it like this. First, you're gonna print out welcome, like legend, what's your name, for example, and then it's gonna ask me that, and then you're gonna do name equals gets.chomp. So this can be called pretty much anything you want. You can call this surname. It doesn't really matter, so let's call it surname. And then I'm gonna have to rerun the program because that's how. Well, let me just wipe that out so it looks nicer. Oh, sorry. Okay. So welcome legend. What is your name? And this is a variable, so it can be called whatever you want. And gets.chomp basically says just take the input and make sure it's like looking good, you know. Okay. So let me show you how this is gonna work. Yeah. Let me just show you how that's gonna work. So. Hello, what's your name? Let's say my name is Kevin, and it's gonna say hello Kevin, how are you? So that's pretty good. As you can see, it works. And now I use print here because if I used puts, it would just drop us into new lines and stuff like that. But I guess you can use puts as well. Let me just show you puts. Puts, and then let's run it again. My name is Kevin. Hello Kevin, how are you? And notice how we have a new line here after it right now, and we didn't have it here. Okay, so that's it for the first thing. Now let me show you something else. Let me clear that up. Now we have an example of a string, and it says some words. It's just called some words. It's a variable, and this is a string. So the string, so the string contains, I don't know, these letters and this thanks man and stuff like that. So what if we just want to select thanks man from that? You know, what if we don't want the whole string, you know, the whole thing? Then we're gonna use, no, this first, we're gonna use this, but this displays the length of the, how many words are here. So we have 1, 2, 3. Well, we're not going to count that, so that's why we use this. And then it says the length of it. So let me just show you how that works. So 2.ruby, and then it says length 31. As you can see, there is 31 character here. And it says 33 here because I selected these. It doesn't count them, these, the quotes. So it's 31, as you can see. All right, so let me just explain this. So yeah, we don't use the plus here because we can't add the string and the integer. Like right here, it's not going to be plus, it's going to be just this. And that way it's just going to print it out, just like, you know, just like in Python, basically. You're not going to use plus for that action. Anyway, so we use that. And this, what this does is it says from this special variable right here, you're going to give me the 11th letter, which is like maybe this or something like that, this. And it's gonna say from that point you're gonna give me more 11 more letters, so that's gonna be this whole thing, right? 11 characters selected. So this might be confusing a bit. When I first started in Ruby, I tried writing 21 and it didn't work out. Let me just show you how that works. So if I write 21 and run it, and as you can see, it's going to take this part as well, which we don't want. We just want this part. So I figured, all right, it's not counting that way. It's counting 11 from this 11. So let's try that. And now it's fine, as you can see. So 11 characters from the 11th character. So from the 11th character, 11 characters. So we can also do from 12, and we can do, I don't know, 10. I don't even know if that's going to go. Let me give it a shot. Let me try to get this thanks man, just that, without the... All right, we didn't get it. We actually need 9 here. Can I guess that? So there we go. Thanks, man. Right, so that's pretty cool. Let me just clear it up. Let's open Ruby number 3. All right, so here's an example. Random numbers or something like that. Let me show you that. So this is a variable days, and it says the random number is, and then something. Now, of course, if I run this, let me show you. 3.ruby, and it's going to give me a random number, and it's going to say the random number is that. So why? Because of that. And let me just go from here to all the way up to all the way down. So days is a variable that has a string, and the string just says this. These are just letters, you know, they just say the random number is. And then we have the numbers from 1 to 9 and 0, and then we have null. And null is, for example, the 0 or 1. I don't know, it can be called anything you want. It doesn't have to be called null. Don't get confused. And then we have a key. Doesn't have to be called that way. And it says numbers, which are these. And then it says number 1. So let me just remind you that counting in programming mostly, it's not going 1, 2, 3. It's going 0, 1, 2. So regardless of if we have 1, 2, 3, 4 here, it doesn't matter. If it's in these brackets, that means we're starting with 0, 1, 2. So this would be, this number 2 here would be the first position. So that would be it. All right, so 2s means to convert to string. So let's say we want to print out the first number in the list, which is like the second really, and then we want to convert it to the string, and we want to print it out that way. We can do this here, and it's pretty simple. We're not printing this out, I think. Yeah, we're not printing this out. And let's see, what else do we have? And then we have key 2, for example, and it says array. We're making an array, the same brackets, and it says random. So we're gonna pick a random. It's not a random integer, it's just random from, but in this case it's an integer, from numbers.length. So we're gonna pick a random number from the length of the number. So I mean, this is silly because we have 10 of them, and we're gonna pick random number of those. Well, technically, if I'm doing this, it's kind of stupid because I can just put anything here. It doesn't have to be numbers, but all right, never mind. You can just put text as well. And what this does is it basically gives us a random number. In this case it's 9. So how does it work? Well, we have these keys which join up everything in key 2. It's really confusing. I should just delete half of this, but just follow along. This key 2 right here is an array, and it holds a random number. Well, in this case, it actually doesn't hold a random number of these. It actually holds a random number of length of these. So that means if there's like 10 of them, it's gonna pick a random number. In this case, let's say 8. You know, you can just do this many times. Let's see. 1, 5, right? So it works the same way, but basically what I did here wrong is I didn't convert this good, so it picks a random number, like random.choice in Python. So these don't have to be like numbers, they can be string, you know, and like if I do that, it's still gonna pick a random number. It's not gonna pick a string because it's just counting how many of these are here. So that's how it works. That's how the dot length works. The dot length is basically 10 because there's 10 of them inside here, 10 of the things, you know, it doesn't matter what kind of things, and then it's gonna pick a random number from like 0 to 10, you know. Okay, so right here we're joining them by the comma, and now this doesn't really do much. I mean, look, if we print this out, okay, it's gonna say random number 0. So as you can tell, if I don't do this, let me show you. Let's see, key 2. If I don't do this, it's gonna give me an error, right? Because no implicit conversion of array into string. So it didn't change it into string, because with the dot join you're actually changing it into string. Or maybe you can just do yeah, just say do 2s to change it to string. You can just run it, and now it's gonna be like this. So that's fun. But then we don't want to strip that right now. So like you get the point. It was like that. All right. So puts prints it out. We used plus here because why not? You know, like let me show you. It doesn't have to be. All right. The random number, which is days. The random number is, and then the random number. You know, which is like from here and from here. So data types. Well, we have strings. We already defined those. Integers are pure numbers, and we have floats, which are numbers like with the dots, like 3.14 as a pi. And then we have Boolean, which is true or false, basically, and null values, which is basically nothing. So it's not a 0, it's nothing. So we have this variable errors, and it's null, which is nil in this case. I don't know why they call it nil, but it basically means null. So this means nothing. All right, so let's go next. Fourth, let me clear this up. And here is an example of a function. Define say hi. Our function is called say hi for some reason. And then we have the username, which is just an argument that the function is going to take. So this is going to be anything we write in, and then it's going to print out hello user and this username that we input in. So how does this work? Well, if you just leave a function like this without this part, nothing's going to happen. The program is going to read it, but it's not going to print out this. Why? Well, because you have to call the function, and plus you have to fill it up with something. In this case, you have to fill it up with this. Sometimes you can just define a function without any filling up, but you also have to call it. Like there can be nothing here, but we're not going to do that. I just want to show you how it works. So what do we do here is we call the function by naming it, and if you want to put something in the function like this username, we're going to put it as a string, of course, because we're not going to call ourselves number1 or something, hello user1, you know. I mean, we can technically, but why? So we're going to make it a string inside of the quotes, and we're going to say HOX framework. And now we are passing this HOX framework right here, and from here it's going like, oh, where do I have to go? I have nowhere to go. What's the point? And then it says, all right, actually you named me right here. So if we run this, all right, so there we go, hello user HOX framework. So hello user HOX framework, it went through. There we go. And now let's take a look at a class hash, which is basically a dictionary. It's like a collection of unique keys and their values. It's also called an associative array, and it's basically a dictionary, as I said. So we have people, and we have Luke, who is 16, and then we have Tim, who is 22, and then we have Jenny, who is 24. And this is how you define them. Like you write this curly bracket or whatever it is, and then you press enter, and it drops you right here, and then you write your stuff, and this helps you define. and make sure you put the comma, because otherwise it's not going to work. So you have to put the comma on everything except for the last. And then you close them off, and then you can do puts people, which is this, and then Luke. And then it's going to give us whatever Luke equals to. And in this case, it gave us 16, as you can tell. But in this case, what if we do, let's say, monkey? And then if we run it again, it's going to say monkey, right? Because Luke equals monkey in this case. We can also do Tim, and it's going to equal, guess what, 22. There we go. But if we do this, it's not going to work. Well, what if we do it? There are other ways of doing this, but this is not relevant right now. I just wanted to show you what a dictionary is and what it looks like. There was also this thing that I just deleted with the double dot admin, but as I said, this is just not really what I want for basics, and I want my basics to be really short. So, like, I want to cover things really short and just make sure you know like really basic stuff, and then maybe if you want advanced video, I can do it and it can be like way longer. All right, so and then we have the fifth example. Let me just clear this up. And it says print enter a number, and then you enter a number, which is an input again, my number, it's called my number, and then we're gonna change it to an integer, and it's gonna say now it's an integer, you may not see the difference, but the computer does. And let me show you how that works. 5.ruby, and enter a number, and you call it 13, and then it's gonna say 13, and now it's an integer, but you may not see the difference. And then we have puts nothing for just like a new line, and then we have food equals array burger, kebab, and vodka. I don't know why I put that. This can be anything. It doesn't have to be kebab. And I put vodka. And I wanted to like show you how we can call stuff from the array, because we can call it from the string as well, like that. And then so I said food 2, so 0, 1, 2, and that's vodka. And then puts food.length. So that means, let me show you. All right, 3, and then I need vodka. Well, I actually wanted to do it like this. So we're gonna make sure that it says I need length, which is 1, 2, 3. I need 3, and then number 2, which is vodka. So I need 3 vodkas. 56. I need 3 vodka. Now it's kind of silly because we would have to write S here or something. We can also do, let's make another puts, and then let's actually make that a print. Print food, and then the plus so this, and then we do that. I don't care. I need 3 vodkas, and there you go. Right, so that's pretty simple. All right, so let's go to the next one. And next one says it's a function and an if statement. So this looks a bit more complex, doesn't it? All right, so we have a def sum function, and it takes sum entry. From what you remember, we have to call the function and then put something in it. In this case, sum entry. Okay, so here's a couple of examples. The question, let's start here. This question goes, do you want to go? And the new line, and it says yes and no and Patrick. So if you input yes, it's going to be in string format like this. And it's going to say, okay, dude, let's go. So if sum entry equals 1, which is yes, it's going to say, okay, dude, let's go. So why does it take it in a string format? I don't know, it just does. In the case of you inputting 1 just like this, it's going to say, else. So it's going to say, ah, yes, it's Patrick. Yeah, I'm going to show you. And if you input no, return dude. So I'm going to explain to you. Okay, so puts prints out, and return basically does the same thing as puts, except for it exits after that. And then you have else if, which means, well, if the first if doesn't go through, check this if as well. And then else means everything else, right? So else if sum entry, which is this one. So if our entry is, for example, 2, which means no, it's going to say, all right, don't yell at me for some reason. And then we have the else and return. So that means close it after you checked it. And the else says, ah, yes, it's Patrick. And then why do we have 2 ends here? Well, because first end ends this statement here. So this one actually, if statement. So you need an end for if statement as well. It's recommended to use if, else if, and else every time, but you can use like millions of else ifs, and only one else, and preferably only one if, and then it ends with end. And then you have def and some function, and we also need end. So now we're calling the function here, and it says puts, so print it out once you call it. and it says some function and then enter 1 here. So do you want to go, and then enter 1, and then it's going to give us, let me just show you. So 6.ruby, and then we have a couple of examples. So the first one goes, I'm inputting 1 in a string, and it gets true because it does accept it in a string. You would otherwise have to convert it if you want to accept it as an integer, and then it says puts, okay, let's go. And then it says, okay, let's go. And it returns dude as well, because why not? And then we have an example of inputting 1, just like this. So it doesn't accept, it's not here nor here. So it actually belongs in else. It's not a string, it accepts it as this, and it's going to say, ah, yes, it's Patrick. So it belongs in else, and it's going to say, ah, yes, it's Patrick. And then we have 2, finally, and this 2 is actually a string, and it's already like define what if the user input is string 2 is gonna be, and it says, all right, don't yell at me. So right here. And there you go. That's actually pretty much the basics. This video actually turned out to be pretty long. I wanted to be shorter, but it's fine. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a nice night.